The thing about being the family scapegoat is that you learn to document everything, not out of spite initially, out of survival. When you're constantly told you're the problem, you start keeping receipts, literal ones, just to prove to yourself that you're not crazy, that the reality you're experiencing is actually real. I'm Rachel, and for 34 years I've been the difficult daughter in my family. The one who always causes drama, the one who never appreciated what she had. Meanwhile, my younger sister Jessica has been the golden child since the day she was born 3 years after me. Growing up, the disparity was constant but subtle enough that I questioned my own perception. Jessica got a brand new car at 16. I got our grandmother's ancient Honda that broke down twice a month. Jessica got a full ride to her dream school not through scholarships, but through our parents' investment in her future. I got community college because we just don't have the money right now, Rachel. When I asked questions, I was jealous and bitter. When I pointed out the obvious favoritism, I was tearing this family apart. So I stopped asking questions out loud, and I started keeping records. It began in 2020, right after Jessica's wedding of $47,000, a fare that our parents paid for entirely while telling me they couldn't help with my student loans. I was working as an accountant at a mid-size firm, and my professional instincts kicked in. I created a spreadsheet, just from my own sanity. Marcus noticed what I was doing one night, papers spread across our kitchen table. He didn't judge. He just sat down next to me and said, "Want help categorizing?" That's when I knew I'd married the right person. For 5 years, I documented every single financial transaction I could verify between my parents and Jessica. Bank statements that Jessica carelessly left visible during family visits, overheard phone conversations, texts that my mother accidentally sent to the family group chat instead of just Jessica, the $12,000 gift for Jessica's house down payment that was mentioned casually at Easter, the monthly allowance that my father thought was secret. I verified everything I could through public records, property transfers, business filings, car registrations. I'm an accountant, I know how to follow money. By Thanksgiving 2025, my folder contained 47 pages of documented financial support, totaling $147,800, not including the wedding. The day of Thanksgiving started like every other family holiday, with my mother criticizing my contribution before I'd even taken off my coat. "Oh, you brought the green bean casserole," she said, eyeing my dish. Jessica made her famous 7-layer dip. From scratch. The green beans are from scratch too. Mom, well, yes, but Jessica's recipe won an award at her church potluck. I just smiled and headed to the kitchen. Marcus followed with the rest of our dishes, giving my shoulder a supportive squeeze. Jessica was already holding court in the living room, surrounded by our parents and various aunts and uncles. She was wearing a designer dress that I'd watched my mother purchase on her credit card 3 weeks ago, $890, because Jessica needed something special for the holidays. "Rachel," Jessica called out, waving me over. "Come sit." I was just telling everyone about my promotion. Ah yes, the promotion. I'd heard about it 17 times already. "District manager," my father said proudly, beaming at Jessica. "At 31 years old, can you imagine?" "That's wonderful," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "Congratulations, Jessica." "Thanks," she smiled sweetly. "I know it's hard for you, seeing me succeed. But maybe if you'd applied yourself more. Doc is tense beside me, but I just kept smiling. "Not yet." The dinner itself was a masterclass in passive-aggressive family dynamics. Every conversation somehow circled back to Jessica's accomplishments and my apparent failures. "Rachel, are you still at that little accounting firm?" Aunt Linda asked. "She is," my mother answered before I could. "Some people are just content with mediocrity. I'm actually a senior partner now," I said calmly. "Have been for 2 years. Well, it's not exactly running a district, is it?" My father said with a chuckle. I let it go. I let it all go. Because I knew what was coming. It happened during dessert. My mother stood up, clinking her glass like she was about to give a toast at a wedding. "I just want to take a moment," she said, "to recognize our Jessica." This year especially, everyone turned to look at my sister, who adopted a humble expression that didn't reach her eyes. "Your father and I are just so proud of everything you've accomplished. You bought your first home at 26. You've risen through the ranks at your company through sheer hard work. You've built your entire life without asking for anything. My mother's eyes slid to me. It just goes to show what's possible when you have drive and ambition. When you don't rely on others. Unlike you, she continued, her voice carrying that particular edge reserved just for me. Who still needs help? Some of us are just born winners. Jessica laughed, and several relatives chuckled along. My father nodded proudly. Jessica never asked us for a single dollar. She earned everything herself. The table was nodding, agreeing, looking at me with that familiar mixture of pity and judgment. And my husband Marcus just squeezed my hand under the table, met my eyes, and gave me the smallest nod. It was time. That's actually not accurate, I said, my voice calm and clear. The room went quiet. Excuse me? My mother said. I reached into the bag I'd brought, the one everyone assumed just contained extra napkins and serving utensils. What is that? Jessica asked, her voice suddenly sharp. I opened the folder to the first page. This is a comprehensive accounting of every financial transfer from Mom and Dad to Jessica over the past 5 years. I've documented $147,800 in direct support. That's not including the $47,000 wedding in 2020. This is ridiculous, my father sputtered. We've never… Page 1, I continued, not raising my voice. January 2020 through December 2020, house down payment contribution, $12,000. Furniture gift cards totaling $3,400. Monthly. Groceries payments, $4,800 for the year. Wedding final expenses overflow, $8,200. That's $28,400 for 2020. Alone. You're making this up, Jessica said, but her face had gone pale. I have bank statements, I said. Copies of checks, screenshots of Mom's Venmo transactions, text messages discussing the transfers. I flipped to a tab section. Mom, would you like me to read the text you sent on March 15th, 2021? The one where you told Jessica not to mention the $5,000 car repair payment in front of me because, and I quote, Rachel will just get jealous and cause drama? My mother's mouth opened and closed. Page 7. 2021. $31,200. New car down payment of $8,000. Monthly car payments of $450 covered for 6 months totaling $2,700. Credit card bailout of $11,500. Vacation funding of $4,000. And miscellaneous gifts totaling $5,000. Rachel, stop this, my father said, his face turning red. You're embarrassing yourself. Page 12. 2022, $27,600. Dad. That includes the $15,000 you transferred to Jessica's account the same week you told me you couldn't help with my fertility treatments because times are tight. The room was completely silent now. I could see my aunts and uncles exchanging uncomfortable glances. Marcus spoke for the first time. I watched Rachel compile this over 5 years. Every number is verified. Every transaction is documented. I turned to my sister. Jessica, would you like to explain the $18,000 business investment from 2023? The one that was supposed to be for your side business that never materialized? Jessica stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. This is insane. You're insane. You've always been jealous of me. I'm an accountant, Jessica. Numbers aren't jealous. They're just facts. I flipped to the final summary page. 2023, $24,800. 2024, $22,400. 2025 through November, $13,400. Grand total for the past 5 years, $147,800. That averages to $29,560 per year, or $2,463 per month. I closed the folder and looked at my mother. So when you say Jessica never asked for a single dollar and built her life without help, I want to make sure we're all working with accurate information. My cousin Derek, who worked as a financial advisor, leaned forward. Rachel, are you saying you can verify all of this? Every dollar. I pulled out a USB drive from my pocket. I have digital copies of everything. Bank statements, text messages, emails, receipts. I've organized it chronologically and by category. This is a violation of my privacy, Jessica hissed. The bank statements were left visible on your laptop during Christmas 2022. The texts were sent to the family group chat by accident. The property records are public information. Nothing here was obtained illegally. My father stood up. Young lady, I don't know what you think you're doing, but this is Thanksgiving. This is family time. You're right, Dad, it is family time. And I've spent 34 years of family time being told I'm the failure while Jessica is celebrated for achievements that were literally funded by you and Mom. I kept my voice steady. I'm not angry. I'm just done pretending. My mother started crying, the performative tears I'd seen 100 times. How could you do this to your sister? To our family? I didn't do anything to our family, Mom. I just documented what you've been doing for years. I stood up from the table. The disparity isn't even the issue. Parents can choose to support their children however they want. What I won't accept anymore is the lie. The narrative that Jessica is self-made while I'm the one who needs help. I looked around the table at my relatives. For the record, I paid my own way through school. I paid for my own wedding. I bought my own house. Marcus and I paid for our own fertility treatments all 4 rounds. At $18,000 each, while Mom and Dad said they couldn't help, my voice only wavered slightly. We have a son now, Oliver. He's 3 months old. My parents have met him once. Aunt Linda spoke quietly. We didn't know about any of this, Rachel. I know you didn't, because the family story is that I'm difficult, and Jessica is perfect. I picked up the folder. I'm leaving copies of the summary page for anyone who wants to see the truth. I'm not asking you to pick sides. I'm just asking you to stop pretending. We left 20 minutes later. After I'd fielded questions from 3 different relatives who were suddenly very interested in the documentation. Derek asked if he could review the full file professionally. Aunt Linda hugged me and whispered that she'd always thought something was off. My parents didn't say a word as we gathered our things. Jessica had retreated to her childhood bedroom and refused to come out. The aftermath came in waves. The first wave was the calls. Over the next 72 hours, my phone logged 43 incoming calls from my mother, 18 from my father, and 12 from Jessica. I answered none of them. The second wave was the texts. My mother's ranged from guilt-tripping. I can't believe you did this to us at Thanksgiving. You've ruined everything, to threatening. You will regret this. Rachel, to desperate, please come home so we can talk about this as a family. The third wave was the family network activating. Relatives I hadn't heard from in years suddenly reached out, some supporting me, some condemning me, some just wanting gossip. Derek called on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I reviewed everything you sent me, he said. It's airtight. Actually, there might be gift tax implications your parents should be concerned about. Gifts over $17,000 per year per recipient need to be reported. I'm aware, I said. I'm an accountant. Right, sorry, he paused. Rachel, for what it's worth, I believe you. And I've told the family that the numbers check out. Marcus's family was the opposite reaction. His mother came over with 3 casseroles and a bottle of wine. I always knew something wasn't right with how they treated you, she said, hugging me tight. You're ours now. You've always been ours. 3 weeks after Thanksgiving, I received an interesting call. It was from my father's business partner, Tom. Rachel, I hope you don't mind me reaching out, he said. Your father has been distracted lately. He mentioned something about financial records at a family dinner. I need to ask, are you aware of how your father has been funding these gifts to Jessica? I paused. I have some theories. The business account, Tom said flatly. He's been taking draws that don't match his profit share. I've been trying to figure out where the money was going for 2 years. I have copies of bank transfers, I said slowly. Some of them originated from an account that wasn't his personal checking. I'm going to need to see those records, Rachel. As his partner, I have a fiduciary duty. I sent the relevant documents that afternoon. By January, my father's business partnership was dissolving. Tom had discovered $67,000 in unauthorized draws over 5 years' money that had gone directly to funding Jessica's self-made lifestyle. The partnership agreement had clear provisions about draws, and my father had violated them consistently. My mother called me 63 more times in January. In February, Jessica's husband found out the full extent of her parents' support she had apparently hidden from him. Their marriage, already strained, began showing serious cracks. By March, he had moved out. The consequences continued cascading. My parents had to refinance their house to pay back Tom's share of the unauthorized draws. Jessica had to start actually living on her salary, a concept that was apparently novel to her. She was demoted at work in April not because of anything related to the family drama, but because she'd apparently been coasting on the confidence that came from never really facing financial pressure. Through all of this, I felt nothing but peace. I'd expected to feel guilty. I'd spent my whole life being told I was the one who caused problems, and part of me had internalized that message. I thought that standing up for myself would feel like destruction. Instead, it felt like freedom. Marcus and I focused on Oliver. We focused on our careers. My firm had made me a named partner in January, a recognition I'd earned through years of work that had nothing to do with family money. We focused on building a life that was genuinely ours. My mother eventually stopped calling. The last voicemail she left was in April. "I hope you're happy, Rachel. You've destroyed this family." I saved it. Added it to the folder. In June, I received a letter from my father. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever gotten from him, which is to say, it wasn't an apology at all. "Rachel, I don't understand why you felt the need to air private family matters in public. What happens between parents and children should stay between parents and children. Your mother is devastated. Jessica's marriage is over. My business is gone. I hope the satisfaction was worth it. Your father," I wrote back a single line. I documented the truth. "What you did with it was your choice." My cousin Derek became an unexpected ally. He started a family group text that specifically excluded my parents and Jessica. And it became a space where actual honest communication happened for the first time. Other relatives shared their own stories of favoritism, of feeling less than, of questioning their own reality. Aunt Linda told me she'd started therapy after Thanksgiving. "Watching you stand there so calmly with all that evidence," she said, "I realized I've been gaslighting myself about my own childhood for 40 years. It's now November. Almost a year since that Thanksgiving dinner. Oliver is 14 months old and the happiest baby I've ever seen. Marcus and I are solid. My firm is thriving. Derek and I have monthly dinners where we've developed an actual friendship. Aunt Linda texts me every Sunday. My parents and Jessica exist on the periphery of my awareness. I hear updates through the family network. Jessica has moved back in with my parents. The house refinancing went through. My father is working as a consultant now. I don't engage, and I don't feel the need to. The folder still exists, backed up in 3 locations, not as a weapon anymore, but as a reminder. A reminder that my reality was real, that my memories were accurate, that I wasn't the crazy one, no matter how many times I was told I was. Last week, I ran into my mother at the grocery store. She was in the produce section, examining avocados, and she looked up and saw me before I could turn away. For a long moment, we just looked at each other. "Rachel," she said. "Mom." She opened her mouth and I braced myself for the guilt trip, the accusations, the performance. But she just closed her mouth, nodded once, and walked away. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't reconciliation. It wasn't anything really. And that was fine. Because I finally learned that I did and need her to acknowledge the truth for it to be true. I'd done my own accounting, balanced my own books, and the numbers told a story that she couldn't revise no matter how hard she tried. I paid for my groceries and went home to my family, my real family, the one I'd chosen and built myself. No help required. Final documentation note. The folder now contains 52 pages. The last entry was the letter from my father in June, preserved for records. Total documented financial disparity: $194,800 including the wedding. Total money I received from my parents in the same period: $0, balance verified. Case closed.